Hey guys, it's Alyssa from Online Fabric Store, and today I'm going to show you how to hang wallpaper.
Start by measuring your walls. When you have all your measurements, you're going to want to put them in our wallpaper calculator. Make sure that you choose the option to include an extra 10% of material for pattern matching and potential waste.
If you've never ordered or installed wallpaper before, we have some really helpful guides on our website that I recommend you check out before you get started. They'll help explain the terminology used when buying wallpaper, how to match panels, and along with this video, you'll have all of the information that you need to do your project with confidence. So let's get started.
You're going to want to clean out your space. Then lay down your drop cloth and clean your walls. The prep is really important to this process. You want to make sure to remove dirt, dog hair, or anything that will create lumps under the paper, because it will, I promise. Now is also the time to fill any holes or indentations left in the wall with spackle and take off any outlet or light switch covers as well. You may also want to put wallpaper primer on your walls. This will make for easier removal in the future. If you're putting paper up around the whole room, you're going to want to start in the corner behind the entrance to hide where the paper begins and ends. In my case, I'm only putting wallpaper up on the accent wall, and in other tutorials, they recommended starting from the center of the wall, so that's what I did. But once I got into it, I realized that this was not the best choice for what I had going on, and here's why. My wall ended up needing 5 full panels across, and then about 8 inches of a 1/6. But since I started from the direct center, I ended up with 5 full panels and then needing 2 4-inch panels on either side, which was totally a pain to put up. So learn from my mistake, plan out your wall beforehand, and put that first panel off to the center if your pattern allows for it, because you're going to save yourself a lot of time. So with that in mind, find where you want to place your first panel. Mark out the center of where that panel should be. Then I'm going to measure out half the width of my wallpaper from both sides of that mark. My paper is 27 inches wide, so I will need to measure 13.5 inches from both sides of the center mark. Then I created guidelines for myself to ensure that the paper was being put up perfectly straight, or at a 90-degree angle from the ground. You can use a level like I am here, or you can use a plumb line. I don't know how to make a plumb line. They seemed pretty easy, but I didn't want to make any holes anywhere, and I didn't have a fancy plumb line marker, so this was what I had to work with. Make sure that you're marking out these points on both the top and bottom of your wall. Now unwrap your paper and dry fit it to the wall. Make sure that you like the pattern placement and move it up or down if you would like certain parts of the design to be at a specific height. My wallpaper says that you should apply the paste directly to the paper and not the wall, so I bought the appropriate paste, set up a table, and got to work. Cut the wallpaper so there's about 1 to 3 inches of extra paper on both the top and bottom of your panel. I like to mark the top with an arrow to remind me so I don't have to figure out what end I'm holding after the paper's all folded up. Then lay your paper out on the table and start to apply the paste. Start from the center and work your way out to the edge. Fold the paper over on itself to let the paste set up. Your paste will tell you how long you need to wait before putting the paper up on the wall. Once that time has passed, use your guidelines to hang the panel up perfectly straight. Use your flat edge to push any air bubbles out to the side. This takes a while, so be patient. When you run your hands over the panel, you're going to be able to feel and hear the air bubbles. It's so important to get them all out or you could end up with peeling paper. Also, this is not best practice, but I found when you have an edge that is a little bit light on paste, you can put a little paste on your finger and mush it under the edge. Then take your scraper tool and push it inwards towards the center of your panel and then back out to the edge, and that usually should fix your problem. You could also try to fix this problem by forcing some of the excess paste out from the center towards the edge that you know you're a little bit light on. Then take your flat edge and your knife and cut away the extra material at the top and bottom. Try to keep your knife pushed into the wallpaper the whole time and only move your straight edge to get a nice clean cut straight across. Wipe off any excess paste from the wall with your slightly dampened sponge and make sure that your table surface is clean before putting down another piece of paper. Now move on to your next piece. Start again by dry fitting the piece and lining up the pattern to the piece that is already hung. One trick that I saw when I was doing my research was to check your other rolls when you're dry fitting, because sometimes the pattern happens to match better and then you'll end up with less waste. Find where the paper matches and cut that panel to be a few inches longer than you'll need so you can get a nice fitted look. I should have listened to that part of my own instructions better, because here you will see where I cut the paper too short and ended up having to move it to the other side of my first panel. Mistakes happen. It's okay. The glue dries pretty slow, so just keep moving and you're gonna be fine. For the next however many panels you have, you're gonna wanna paste the paper, making sure to always work from the center out, fold it in on itself, hang your paper up on the wall, brush out the air bubbles really well, cut away the excess material, and then wipe any leftover paste away. It's not totally necessary, but I did end up using a seam roller on the edges to make sure that those seams were really invisible. So then you may come across an outlet when working on putting up your wallpaper. When this happens, make note of that location and smooth down the rest of the panel. When you're done, you're going to want to mark out exactly where the outlet is with a pencil. Obviously, I was interrupted while doing this and I could have edited this part out, but it's a long video and I figured there was no harm in keeping in a few seconds of snugs, because this whole process can be pretty tiring, so some puppy love is the best medicine to keep you going. Okay, back to business. Once you have the area marked out, you're going to want to take your box cutters and try to cut out an X shape over your outlet. I ended up using scissors to make my lines really sharp, and I wanted to cut away a little more paper. Don't cut it all down though, because they do recommend making the paper wrap into the outlet socket when possible. Obviously, be super careful when you're doing this, because outlets can be a little dangerous when you're sticking metal objects near them. So very carefully wrap around your outlet, stop for a boop on the snoot, and you should be able to put your outlet back on once the glue has had a little time to dry. This process was really repetitive and it is going to take you a while. I will tell you honestly though, it took me between an hour to an hour and a half per panel. When you finally get to the corners, you're going to want to hang your wallpaper just as before. As I said in the beginning, I had those two tiny panels to tackle, so I cut my panel to length to start, and then I measured the size of the area that I needed to cover. Each side was about 4 inches wide, so I cut the width of each of my panels to be a little over 5 inches because it's always easy to cut away paper, but it's harder to add it back in. Then I pasted the paper onto the wall like normal, and I cut the excess paper, this time being really careful with the straight edge to get the cleanest, straightest cut possible. And it's finally fine to put your outlet covers back on and get in a big stretch, because you deserve it.
And just a little tip that my grandma shared with me was to save a couple pattern repeats of the wallpaper just in case a portion ever gets damaged. You can just replace that part and your wall will look like brand new. Anyways, that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. And as always, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this OFS project, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
The materials you will need for this project are a drop cloth, a measuring tape, your wallpaper, wallpaper paste, a paint roller, a pencil, a wallpaper seam roller, a flat edge, a bucket with water, a sponge, a box cutter or a knife, and wallpaper primer, which is optional.